Hey guys, so here's the second part of our core series, and we're going to talk about hip position and what that does to overall glute strength and activation. Most people don't realize it, but your glutes are really, really important in terms of overall glute core strength. And the more active you can get these guys, and the stronger you can get them, the stronger contraction that you can create, the better off your actual core muscles, or the ones that most people recognize as their core, the better they're going to work. So, average American sits 13 and a half hours per day, which is just sounds like a nightmare. But because of that, a lot of them end up in what's called an anterior pelvic tilt, which is where, if you were to imagine your hips as a bowl, that front of that bowl tilts forward and spills. Okay? This really overly arched back position leads to really tight lower back muscles, real tight hip flexors, and because of the extended position they put your abdominals, like weak abs and also weak glutes. This can cause a lot of back pain, weak core, kind of multitude of things, and the easiest way to kind of get it back is to work on just tilting your pelvis from that anteriorly tilted, that forward tilted position into a more neutral position. Best way to start that is with pelvic tilts on the ground. And so when you lay down, if you don't feel like your lower back just kind of lightly touching the ground, then you're probably going to have like a really arched back position. And what you're going to want to do is pretend like you have a belt buckle on, and you want to try to bring that belt buckle closer to your ribs by tilting your pelvis under. And when you hit the right spot, you're going to feel your back lightly pressed into the ground, and you're going to get some core engagement. Then the next thing you're going to do is take a breath in and out through your nose with your mouth closed into your stomach, so that you can use your diaphragm and your pelvic floor and kind of get your deep core muscles on to help hold this position. If you didn't watch the last video, it's going to be in the description below, and that's going to go over how to get that breathing dialed in to help set this in place. So from here, you can take this to the next step. So you can go into your pelvic tilt and then bring your heels off the ground and really try to crush your glutes and lift your hips up into the air. And you only lift as high as you can keep that tilt. You don't want to feel like as you're lifting, you're going to start to arch your lower back, because that's just going to continue to put more pressure there, and that's going to end up hurting. So you tilt underneath, dig your heels in, lift yourself up through your hips while continuing to focus on tilting your belt buckle towards your ribs. And then you'll take a breath here and come down. And the best way to get into this position is to kind of lay on your back. You're going to try to walk your shoulders down towards your glutes, and then that'll put a little bit of arch in your back, and then you tilt underneath in order to get everything firing. And then do reps of anywhere between 5 and 15 repetitions, and just the more you can focus on breathing easily through your belly at the top and actually lifting through your hips, the more glute activation you're going to get, and it's going to help reset that hip position a little quicker. If you like to run, or if those other hip positions, those movements aren't that challenging, you can go into a single leg variation to where you're going to pull your knee up, gently hold it with your hand. You still have to roll the pelvis underneath. You dig in and you only lift as high as you can from this hip here. You shouldn't be pulling on this leg. It should just, your hands are helping you hold that position, and then you come down. Now the reason we pull the knee up is to lock the lower back in place, and it makes it a little bit more of true hip extension, but it's also much harder to stabilize and balance. So if you can't breathe into your belly here, you're not ready for it, and that's okay. You just bring your legs back down and focus on keeping this position, and you'll just continue to get stronger through here, and it'll help transition into that single leg variation. Single leg variation is great for runners because your glute is your primary lateral knee stabilizer, so the better off this thing works, the more supportive this guy is, and kind of helps with any single leg stance at work. So go ahead and give that stuff a try. Work just the pelvic tilt, anywhere between 10 and 20 repetitions with a breath pause, and then that'll lead you into your glute bridges, and then work sets of 5 to 15, maybe even 20 if you can. and then the single leg, chop that in half and do 5 to 10 per leg. So good luck, have fun, and I'll see you next week.